The consignor should plan how the load is going to be loaded onto each vehicle and secured for transport. The important thing to remember is regardless of who loaded the vehicle, what matters is that there is a system in place and everyone involved in loading and transport should follow it. Workplace procedures should clearly state the role of the driver in loading, securing and unloading operations. If the driver is not involved in loading, he or she must remain at a safe location away from the activity. The driver should be given a signed copy of the loading plan by the consignor detailing how the vehicle has been loaded, contained and secured. If drivers are involved in loading or unloading, they should sign the loading plan. Drivers must comply with basic safety requirements at all times. These basic safety requirements include the following. Drivers must wear personal protective equipment, PPE, provided by the employer. As a minimum, this should include proper safety footwear and high visibility clothing. This is essential when working near moving vehicles, whether on or off the road. Additional PPE may be needed depending on the work task and environment. Drivers should be familiar with the loading and unloading procedures for their own premises and for customer and supplier premises too. Drivers should report to the person in charge of a workplace for any relevant instructions before loading and unloading a vehicle. Drivers must know both the load capacity and the limitation of the vehicle being used so that the loading and unloading can be done correctly and safely. Also, equipment provided for loading and unloading must be compatible with the vehicle. On the road, the driver is responsible for the load carried on their vehicle. This applies to all vehicles and to all load types. While the employer and other personnel have their areas of responsibility, it is the driver who must be certain that the load is properly contained, restrained and secured so that it is not liable to be a danger during transit. Drivers must drive with due care and attention. Drivers must always use the prescribed vehicle routes and follow any other site rules, such as rules for parking, reversing or speed control. Drivers must drive at an appropriate speed for the road, traffic and weather conditions, and keep a safe distance from other vehicles. Drivers must park in designated parking places, and they should be mindful of doorways, walkways, disabled access, fire escapes, height restrictions, width clearance, physical obstructions, and other parked vehicles. Drivers must take sufficient time to complete work safely. Drivers should report any unsafe activities immediately to a supervisor or manager. Drivers should make sure that non-essential persons are kept clear from designated areas where reversing is taking place. Ideally, loading and unloading should be carried out in a designated area away from passing traffic, pedestrians and others not involved in loading or unloading vehicles. Where this is not possible, risks to pedestrians and passing traffic must be minimized. Loading and unloading should only be carried out by trained authorized people, and only trained authorized persons should be permitted to access the vehicle load platform. For more information, visit our website www.loadsafe.ie.